Ladies and gentlemen, this FinFET video, we're going to be discussing a few things which have popped up regarding GPUs over the last few days, because the GPU market is a-moving. First thing we're going to be talking about is AMD's Polaris, as there's been a small update, and then we're going to be moving on to NVIDIA's Drive PX2, which of course would be the self-learning super AI awesomeness, which is going to, at least in NVIDIA's mind, be a key central part to self-driving cars. But first, let's discuss the AMD side of things. So we did, of course, go rather in depth into the AMD Polaris architecture, at least what we know of. However, there has been a bit of a mix-up regarding the release dates of the GPU over the last day or so, thanks to PC Per. Now, it wasn't anything insidious by Ryan Shrout. Instead, it was merely, I guess you could say, slightly poorly worded, and people, I guess in excitement as well, maybe slightly jumped the gun. And so websites started to report based on what they thought were his sources, and it just kind of got out of hand. Essentially, people assumed that the Polaris GPU is going to be brought to the market 2 months after, well, I guess you could say now. So it was going to basically release, I guess you could say, the first quarter of 2016, which I thought was a bit suspicious, which is one of the reasons I didn't report on it straight away. I was like, man, that sounds a bit weird. That's way too early. Cool, but way too early. I'll give that a bit of time. However, there was a recent clarification which basically stated that the Polaris GPU that AMD demoed was up and running just 2 months after the initial production. So no, it's not going to be brought to the market 2 months, but instead it's just simply saying that, yeah, once AMD started to produce it internally with the engineering samples, that's how long it took them to get a working sample, which they showed off at the demo. Now, we're going to move instead to NVIDIA stuff. So NVIDIA, of course, have really touted about supercomputing, clouds, automobiles. I'm pretty sure they're going to start trying to put Tegra GPUs in their bloody toasters in the next few years. But one of the things that, of course, NVIDIA are working on is Pascal. Now, we know that Pascal is going to be definitely more compute-based than now. And so, at the latest announcement, they are once again unveiling the Drive PX2. Give you, I guess you could say, the headline specifications. It's going to be Pascal based, as you could probably imagine. 8 TFLOPs single precision, 24 DL, that's TOPS, which is pretty impressive, but we'll go more into that in just a second. 12 CPU cores, 16 nm FinFET processing, 250 watts, and liquid cooled. The liquid cooled is not because it looks awesome or anything like that, it's simply because of the position inside your car, air, and getting a decent amount of, I guess you could say, wind whistling through the silicon is not really realistic, so it's better to go with a tried and trusted method, which is liquid cooling. And there you go, there's not much more to say about that. I'm sure some people are going to say it looks amazing, and I'm sure some are going to take it apart and bloody put in blue liquid, which is going to be piped all through the interiors of their automobile, but for the sake of this, it's simply just for the cooling sake of things. So I did mention that there are 12 CPU cores, which is quite a few. There are 8 A57 cores and 4 custom Denver ARM cores. Now, NVIDIA have been building these for some time. They're quite tried and trusted in terms of NVIDIA technology. It's kind of cool, right? The fact that they've got this in there, at least in my opinion. Now, essentially speaking, in terms of single performance, which is obviously where most people, in case you're wondering why my voice went a bit weird there, is because I was actually getting attacked by a ladybug. I kid you not, I don't know what the hell they're doing in these bloody Arctic conditions, but it was like, I'm going to be really menacing. Anywho, yes, a ladybug kind of terrorized me. When you're like trying to read specifications and something goes buzzing right by your ear, you're like, ah! Anyway, as I was mentioning, the Titan X, for sake of argument, has a single precision performance of around 7 TFLOPs, whereas the PX2 manages around 8. Now, the Titan X is obviously a pretty damn expensive card, and we don't know the final specifications of the PX2. So, for the sake of argument, how many CUDA cores does it have? What is it really going to be able to realistically do, in terms of clocks and all this stuff? Unfortunately, we just don't know as yet. We don't know, for the sake of argument, if this represents a high level end consumer unit, or if it's kind of like a medium-sized GPU, which eventually we're going to be seeing in like the mid-range Pascal GPUs. It's also worth noting that from what we can see from the actual package, there is no HBM on there. In fact, it looks like it's just going to be traditional GDDR5, which is fine, that's absolutely okay. I mean, I guess it depends if NVIDIA feel that this is the best option in terms of price performance and they're not, say, bandwidth constrained or anything like that, then absolutely great, go for it, that's, you know, that's perfectly okay. You know, I think there is a bit of, I feel there is a bit of almost like a gaming nirvana where you see like high bandwidth memory and people immediately associate it with like, you know, much better performance, which is kind of true providing you are memory bandwidth constrained. So for the sake of argument, if you're running like a GTX 650, you don't need like 1 terabyte of memory bandwidth per second just to be able to feed that GPU, pretty obviously. So that's absolutely fine. What's my opinion on this? Well, I guess it depends. I mean, I say this from the perspective of maybe a bit of paranoia, but if this thing goes wrong while you're driving down the street, and obviously it's going to have safety measures galore, but there's that kind of just that little part of you that might be thinking, I'm traveling at 70 kilometers an hour or 80 miles an hour or whatever the hell it happens to be the legal speed limit on the freeway, motorway, highway, the road in your country, and you think, yeah, there is that little, what happens if the hardware gets hacked or that happens to just stop working that moment? I don't know. I don't necessarily know if I'd go self-driving at the start, but once again, that is me possibly being a little paranoid. It could be kind of cool though. I'm on the fence with it. I think I wouldn't get maybe one of the earlier models, but maybe in a few years' time it should be kind of cool, at least in my opinion. I like this type of stuff. I mean, let's face it, we've all watched iRobot, right? And we've all dreamt when we were young of being, you know, Michael Knight in bloody kit. Come on, admit it. You know you want to. Admit it. Anyway, guys, hopefully you have enjoyed the video. I'm going to have to try and figure out how the hell I'm going to pause the video, how I'm going to pause this recording and not crush this ladybug, which is now driving on my, on my mouse. Driving on my mouse. God, you can tell I'm distracted. Because I don't want to crush the damn thing, I want to put it outside where it can play with its ladybug friends. No, now it's on my monitor, never mind. Anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed the video. I'll see you soon. Take care, bye for now.